again and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And today I'm going to talk about Faith No More. This is it's Soul Invictus. This is the first time I've talked about Faith No More in this series, and which means I'm going to give a little introduction of my history with Faith No More. Before I do that, I'm going to start by saying, I'll get this right out of the way. This is, I would even say without a doubt, the most disappointing album that I've ever heard or ever bought in my life. It's not the worst. That dishonor will always go to Peter Criss's super ultra mega shitty 1978 soul album. Nothing will ever top that or bottom that. But it is the most disappointing. And I'll explain my rationale for that, or my reasoning for that, or the difference between worst being Peter Criss 1978 and Faith No More Soul Invictus. But before I get to the track by track, and before I get to the album in general, about Faith No More, they're one of my favorite bands ever. And I think I've never really talked about them in this series. I maybe not even referenced them, which is kind of strange for how much I fucking love Faith No More. I've never really, brought them up. And let's say of the second wave of bands that I get into, because always my favorites are going to be Kiss, Van Halen, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, because I was a young kid when I got into them. When I got into Faith No More, I was 19, so I put them in a little bit of a different category. But oh my God, Faith No More was one of those bands, when I heard them, kind of changed the way that I looked at or listened to music. They were, because they were and are, they're obviously very aggressive. They definitely have elements of metal, but they're also very weird and quirky and strange, and they have some kind of funky and some weird, all kinds of things. Very, very different band, especially Angel Dust. And I just, from 89 when I first heard Faith No More, and I knew Faith No More from, I guess I knew the name. James Hetfield often wore the Faith No More shirt. So I knew the name, but I didn't hear them until 89 when The Real Thing came out. I did see them on the Real Thing tour twice. I saw them at Rock and Roll Heaven in Toronto in 89, and then at NTEX in Toronto or Mississauga in 1990. And then I don't think I saw them again until they played in Mexico on that reunion tour in 2009. So, but they remained one of the bands that I really, really love, almost more than anybody. Which brings me to why it is the most disappointing record that I've ever bought. So this album came out in 2015. It's 9 years old now, and it still seems kind of new to me, maybe because I'm not that familiar with it. But it came out in 2015. Now, going back a little bit, Faith No More, and their last album before this was Album of the Year in 1997. So that's 18 years, 97 to 2015. That's 18 years between albums. Now they reunited in 2009, which they were one of those bands that you swore was never gonna get back together. Every band says that's it, and I guess who has said that they won't get back together and stayed true to their word? I don't know if there are too many, but you just got the idea that Faith No More was really, really done. They didn't like each other. Even when they were together at the time, they were having a hard time. And, at the end, they were just, I guess, not doing so well. It wasn't a very healthy band. So when they got back together to tour in 2009, I thought, oh, this is just incredible. This is the best. Or 2008, whenever it was. I saw them in 2009, so maybe they reunited in 2008. And I saw that in Mexico City, and it was fucking awesome. They played, they really changed their set list every night. They played all the songs that I wanted to hear, some surprises. But still, in 2009, 10, 11, 12, I guess, there was no talk or no thought that they would actually do a record. I guess kind of like how Guns N' Roses is now. Guns N' Roses has been back together live since 2016. It's been 8 years since Guns N' Roses has been together. They've released 3 songs, but not an album. So Faith No More, when they announced that they were releasing an album, I guess my expectations were, holy shit, Faith No More is doing a new record. It's going to be the first one in 18 years. And I loved everything they did up to that point. So, why would this be any different? And it was different. So this record came out, and I got it about a month before it came out. And I've got it here, by the way. I downloaded a leaked copy. Maybe it was a month or maybe even 2 months before it came out. And I was very, very disappointed, underwhelmed, whatever word you want to use. I just wasn't feeling it at all. And I guess I was thinking, at least subconsciously, like, that's it. You know, I've waited 18 years and this is what it is. And I'm sure there are many people who feel the opposite. I waited 18 years and this fulfills all my expectations. And, you know, maybe I guess there are some that would maybe put this as the greatest Faith No More album ever. And for me, it sounds strange. I can't say it's the worst, but like I said, just disappointing. Peter Criss's, that just flat out sucks. This isn't even so much that it sucks. It's just so, I don't know, nothing about it really catches my attention. And maybe because I never bought it either. When this came out, as I said, I downloaded a leaked copy and I listened to it. And then I guess because I didn't really like it, by the time the album came out, and this is, I guess, why bands don't like leaks. And I don't even know if albums leak anymore. You know, it should be to create buzz, but I guess in this case, it can hurt sales, because I didn't buy it. Just you know what? I have it leaked. I have it downloaded. That's enough. Maybe now that I have the record of it, you know, maybe I'll like it more. But I listened to it a couple of days ago, and I listened to it just about an hour ago, and it's so. It's such a nothing. It hurts me to say that. Whoops! I dropped my fancy pen. Even it's I have to take notes, and I shouldn't have to take notes for a Faith No More record. Give me any of the other ones, and I can talk about them all day without having to refer to notes. But I just never got into this one, and so I needed notes. Now, generally speaking, I think the reason I don't like or never got into this record, I guess just for me. This is obviously very subjective. The songs, they're just not that catchy to me. Nothing got my attention. This album overall, it's not, you know, I would even say The Real Thing is, I don't have an official top 10 records, but The Real Thing is maybe on there. And, you know, I'm not even sure if I like that even better than Angel Dust. So you could throw Angel Dust in there. They're kind of interchangeable, those albums, similar to the first two Faster Pussycat albums. And, I don't know, Master of Puppets and Justice for All. But you know, The Real Thing, it was very catchy. It was very hard and heavy and aggressive and everything, but it was also very catchy. And then Angel Dust was just so different, very, very weird. Just a fucked up album, very harsh and abrasive and kind of just difficult to listen to, but I love it. One of the greatest albums ever. King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime, which was in '95. Loved it. That was more, you know, that was more straight ahead. It didn't have as much keyboards or samples. It was more like a rock album. But so those, you know, I love those three albums for different reasons. Real Thing, catchy, also heavy. Angel Dust, catchy, heavy, weird, different, just so the opposite of what you're expecting. And then King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime, pretty much straight ahead rock, very heavy album. This album, Sol Invictus, for me, it's none of those things. It's just kind of I don't know, it's just there. Nothing really caught my attention. And another, broadly speaking, thing that I don't like about this album, you know, Mike Patton, whether you like him or not, you have to realize that many people consider him to be one of the greatest voices ever, including me. I love Mike Patton, and there's just too much of this album where he's not the Mike Patton that he has a wide range. Sometimes he screams or growls or croons or whatever. And to me, there's just too much of this album, and maybe I'll talk about it a little bit as I go through the track by track. He doesn't really scream too much on this album. He doesn't really croon. Like, I love the screaming. I love, you know, Smiles and Bruises on, is that Jizzlobber on Angel Dust? He doesn't bark like he did on Midlife Crisis. He doesn't croon like on Edge of the World. Oh, what a great song that is. It's such a quiet, mellow song, but one of the great Faith No More songs. Or also She Loves Me Not from Album of the Year. In this album, he's too much, there's too much, I don't know if it's spoken voice or kind of a whisper. I feel like he's holding back on this record, kind of like Chino Moreno from Deftones. Kind of reminds me of that. He doesn't sound like him, but I always feel like Chino Moreno needs to be screaming all the time or properly singing. I don't like this kind of whisper, almost spoken word, and there's just, for me, too much of it on this album. So for me, Mike Patton is not well represented on this, and it is kind of weird. There are some a few glimpses of what I love about Faith No More, but overall, this album just never caught on with me. As I said, maybe it's because I didn't have a physical. I don't know. I don't know if that matters, but I don't know. Maybe that'll change. I don't think so. I think that's all. So I can go through it track by track now. And so the first song is the title track, Sol Invictus. It's got to be the worst opening song ever. It's just it's quiet. It's mellow. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's not. And I talked in a couple of episodes ago, I think, about Dirty Sound Magnet. Their first song on the album I did was Dreaming in Dystopia, and the first song was Melodies from Distant Shores. And I said, I don't know if I said, I think I said, I was thinking that it's not a typical opening song. It's not an energetic, rocking, coming out of the gate song, but it's great. Another example of that is, my point is that you don't have to have a fast, upbeat, charging song to start the album. Pearl Jam sometimes on No Code. That's a very quiet, mellow song, but it's a fucking awesome opening song. But this one, Sol Invictus, it's just slow, it's quiet, it's mellow. Mike Patton has the vocals that I mentioned, just the kind of whispering, hushed, holding back spoken word vocals. I just, that song is a 0 to me. I get nothing from that song. Now this is in stark contrast, or the next song is in stark contrast, is Superhero. Now this is a fucking awesome song. By the way, I think I'll get to this when I get to one of the tracks. Another reason why I think I didn't like this album almost right from the start. For me, there are 2, maybe 3 great songs on this album, but at least 2 of those songs, including Superhero, there's something about them that prevents each of them from being like, yes, this is a fucking awesome Faith No More song. So Superhero is the second song. Everything about it is great. It has the Mike Patton, this is, for me, his best singers on this Superhero. Superhero, I'm Tugging on Your Cape. Leader of Men. It's a great song. It's got the Billy Gould and Mike Borden together. You can identify Faith No More, maybe more than any other band, by the drums and bass. Most bands, obviously, you identify them by the singer. You can hear Faith No More drums and bass, and it's Faith No More. And Superhero has that. Everything about the song is great, except it's too long. It's I don't know, it's 5.5 minutes, something like that. And probably I would say at least the last 2 minutes of the song, maybe the last 2.5 minutes of the song, it's just repetitive. Leader of men, and the piano. And I like that part, but it just goes on far too long. I think this song would have been much better if it had been 3.5, maybe even 3, maybe even 2:50. Fantastic song, but it's enough. Next, number 3 is Sunny Side Up. I'll be your leprechaun. I'll be your leprechaun. Again, the kind of spoken word vocals. There is later in the, I guess it's after maybe in the second verse, he's screaming. The sunny side up, and then he's screaming that later, which I do like that part, but it's not enough to make me like that song. It's okay, and I feel like there are a lot of songs like this, including probably the next 4 or 5 that I could kind of say the same thing. Next is Separation Anxiety. To me, this is really, really super, super close to being a classic Faith No More song, everything that I like about Faith No More, and there's just something about it that is preventing it from me thinking this is classic Faith No More. I don't know what it is. It's close, but it's just not there. It's just off a little. That never really goes anywhere. You kind of expect it to go somewhere. This also had Patton's, again, whispering spoken word vocals, which it's just too much. It works in some songs in small doses, but too much of it on this record. Next is Cone of Shame. I could say the same thing here. It's close to being a song that I would really like, but I was wondering, why don't I like this? I should love it. There's what's missing about it. It does sound like Faith No More, but it doesn't sound like the Faith No More baby that I really want it to be. I don't know if that's fair or not. And again, it's got, Patton's vocals are holding back, I feel. And next song is Rise of the Fall. This would now be, I didn't open the record. I forgot. Oh my God, how could I forget that? All right, let me open this up. So you can see the hype sticker says that it's a silver vinyl. Ooh. Let me get this open here. I'll see. I don't know if I have a silver, any records that are silver. So let me see what that looks like. All right. All right, how could I forget this? Let me put this over here. All right, so there it is. It's, I guess if I'm looking for something good to say about this record, it's pretty short. I think it's only in the 38 to 39, 40, 41 minute range, so I do like that. By the way, doesn't Faith No More have the shittiest album covers? Every Faith No More album cover sucks. Oh, they're even the great ones, they're just shitty. Maybe King for a Day, I think, is the best, and even that's, I like it. It's, by Faith No More standards, it's a classic. But yeah, their album covers suck, including this one. And I'm sure there is a story behind these photos, what they mean, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, just the worst album covers. And then also the gatefold isn't any better. This looks like the Anthrax Not Man. This guy's wearing an Anthrax Not Man shirt. Let me take a look here. No lyrics, as I've said. Give me lyrics, man. Give me something to read while I'm listening to it. Yeah, pretty basic. And let's see this silver record. Okay, I would call that gray more than silver, or maybe smoke. There it is, and there's the other side. All right, put this back. And now I forget where I was. I was saying that this would have been the if you turn over to the second side, the first song you're going to hear is Rise of the Fall. I would say the same thing about the last, I guess, Sunny Side Up, Separation Anxiety, Cone of Shame. Same thing. It's there's something that's close to being Faith No More, and again, Patton's vocals are not what I'm really hoping for, but yeah. Next is Black Friday. This one is, I like this one. The guitar, it has some kind of cool acoustic guitar, which Faith No More doesn't really have too much of, and it's more up tempo, but ultimately it's similar to these other songs that I mentioned. Now the next is Motherfucker. This, what can I say about this? This was the first single from this record. I guess it came out maybe longer than a couple of months before the record came out. And when I first heard it, I thought, that's it? That's it? It's a kind of a stark song. And I thought, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but the vocals, I thought, what is this? I want to hear Mike Patton, which he does, in the chorus, get the motherfucker, my lover, which I do like that. But I thought, what a terrible mistake. Maybe for me, the worst choice of a single, especially after being away for so long, is Tattoo by Van Halen, from A Different Kind of Truth. Van Halen with David Lee Roth, hadn't done a record since 1984, and Different Kind of Truth was, what was that, 2012, 2008, 9? I can't even remember. I think 2012. And it was before that. And I just thought, Tattoo? What a shitty choice to say Van Halen with David Lee Roth is back. And I thought the same thing about Motherfucker. It's just, but listening to the full album now, it's actually pretty good because I love this song. But it is, I mentioned the two songs that were great, but something. Superhero was one. This is the other one. I learned later that it's Roddy Bottum singing and again, it's spoken word. It's not even Mike Patton doing spoken word. The force-fed more Force fed more than we'd eat in the wild. Grazed on the mash that could suffocate a child. What a mistake. You got Mike Patton in your band, and the first song you're going to put out after 18 years is going to be Roddy Bottum singing it. It's nothing against Roddy Bottum, but, you know, I like Jerry Seinfeld says, when I go to Idaho, I want a potato. And when I listen to Faith No More, I want Mike Patton. It's great that he sings the choruses, and he does sound great in there, but I just thought this was a horrible choice. Faith No More is known for doing some kind of odd things, but I thought this was a terrible choice for the first single, but a great song. Maybe not indicative of Faith No More, but I do like it. Just a bad choice for a first single, I think. A couple more. The penultimate one is Matador. Same thing. Mike Patton's vocals are You know what I'm going to say. This does have the classic, I mentioned earlier, Bill Gould bass and Mike Borden drums. You can identify that as Faith No More. That song is okay, a little bit long too. And then the last song is From the Dead. This is probably overall maybe my favorite from this record. Homecoming Parade. And this is Mike Patton crooning. This is what I liked here. He doesn't have to be screaming, but yeah, great vocal, great. It's melodic. It's catchy. It's got also some great acoustic guitar strumming. It's melodic. Yeah, this is probably From the Dead is probably my favorite song on the album. It took to the last song, the 10th song, to get to it, but I would say From the Dead is my favorite. Maybe Superhero would have been my favorite if it had been a couple and a half minutes shorter. So there it is, and it sucks for me to think that, and I don't know, there probably won't be another Faith No More record. It sucks to think that I didn't like this. I don't even know what Faith No More fans. I'm not in tune with Faith No More like I am with Kiss for sure, and Metallica and kind of Motorhead. I don't know what Faith No More fans thought of this record. My good friend Pete, who is, I would even say a bigger Faith No More fan than me, I think he didn't like it either. I think he thought pretty much the same thing as I did. But I don't know what other Faith No More fans thought. All I know is I was incredibly, and still am incredibly disappointed. Yeah, so there we go. That is all for today. And this is the ever so disappointing Faith No More. It's all Invictus.